You keep telling yourself there isn't enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough breaks going your way. But nature never got that memo. Look at a single apple tree in October. It doesn't drop one apple and call it a season. It drops hundreds, each one carrying seeds for hundreds more. Nature isn't careful with abundance. Nature is reckless with it, generous to the point of excess. Look at a single fish, releasing thousands of eggs into a river that will only let a handful survive. Nature doesn't ration its abundance to match what it expects to succeed. It simply produces, over and over, without apology. That's not an accident, that's the design. So if abundance is the law of the orchard, the river, the field, and the sky, why did you decide it wasn't the law of your life? Here's the truth that's going to sting a little before it sets you free. It's not the economy. It's not your boss. It's not the family you were born into or the city you happen to live in. It's your philosophy. You've been running a scarcity philosophy in an abundant world. And until the philosophy changes, no amount of hustle, no amount of hoping, no amount of waiting for someday is going to change the harvest. Tonight, we fix the philosophy. Let's be honest about how most people actually think. Because you cannot change a pattern you refuse to name. Most people are running a scarcity philosophy they never consciously chose. It sounds reasonable. It even sounds responsible. It sounds like, there's only so much to go around, so I'd better hold on to what I've got. If they win, I lose. I'll be generous later, once I have more. I can't start now. The timing's wrong, the market's crowded, the moment's already passed. People like me don't get those kinds of chances. Now hear me on this, because I don't want you to misunderstand what I'm about to say. Gratitude is not the problem. Gratitude is the soil abundance grows in. The problem is, when gratitude gets twisted into an excuse to stop growing. When count your blessings quietly becomes, stop asking for more. Scarcity was never about how much is in your bank account. I've watched men with nothing build empires because their philosophy was abundant. And I've watched men with everything live like paupers of the spirit, terrified of losing what they had. Scarcity isn't a number. It's a posture. It's the way you stand in front of your own life, arms crossed, guarding a small pile, instead of hands open, building a bigger field. Abundance, on the other hand, is not naive. It doesn't pretend the bills aren't real. It's not a poster on a wall with a sunset on it. Abundance is a working philosophy that says, value creates value. Effort compounds. What you plant multiplies. There is always another season, another idea, another door, if you're the kind of person who's learned how to build doors. So here's the gap, laid out plainly, so you can see exactly which side of it you've been standing on. The scarcity mind asks, what if I run out? The abundance mind asks, what can I create? The scarcity mind protects a small pile. The abundance mind plants a large field. The scarcity mind says, there's not enough for someone like me. The abundance mind says, I haven't produced enough yet, so let's get to work. The scarcity mind sees a competitor in every room. The abundance mind sees a possible collaborator in every room. Doesn't start with sweeping changes or grand gestures, but with small, deliberate actions repeated each day. If at all, the abundance mind sees value as something to build constantly until the negotiation becomes a formality instead of a battle. Do you feel which one you've been living in? Not which one sounds better when you say it out loud at a dinner party. Which one you've actually been living in the small 5 a.m. decisions nobody sees. Here's how to catch it in real time, because philosophy doesn't announce itself. It just talks, quietly, underneath everything else you're thinking. Two voices live in the same head. One says, protect what you have. The other says, produce something more. The scarcity voice shows up first, almost every time, because it's older and louder. It kept people alive for thousands of years by making them cautious. It isn't evil. It's just outdated for the size of the life you're trying to build now. The abundance voice is quieter. It doesn't panic. It just asks one plain question, over and over. What can I add here? Not what can I grab, not what can I protect. What can I add? The next time you feel that tightening in your chest, the urge to hoard, to compete, to assume there's not enough, pause and ask which voice is talking. Most of the time, simply naming it out loud is enough to loosen its grip. And here's the part that's going to be uncomfortable for some of you, and freeing for the rest of you. Nobody did this to you. Not your parents, not the first boss who didn't believe in you, not the economy, not your zip code, not the year you happened to be born. You picked up a scarcity philosophy the way you'd pick up a cold from the room you were standing in. And philosophies, like colds, are not permanent. They are a starting condition. And starting conditions can change. You are not responsible for the philosophy you were handed. You are completely responsible for the philosophy you keep. Before I go further, let me clear something up, because I don't want you leaving here with the wrong idea. Abundance mindset is not the same thing as hustle culture screaming at you to grind until you collapse. Burnout is not a badge of honor. Sacrificing your health, your family, and your peace on the altar of more isn't abundance. That's scarcity wearing a gym outfit. It's still terrified there isn't enough. It's just expressing the fear through exhaustion instead of hoarding. And abundance mindset is not positive thinking with no plan behind it. Standing in front of a mirror saying, I am wealthy, while doing nothing differently tomorrow, isn't a philosophy. It's a wish wearing a costume. Wishing has never once moved a single seed into the ground. It's not vague manifestation either. The idea that thinking hard enough about a number will make it appear in your account without you ever becoming the kind of person who could hold that number responsibly. The world is not a vending machine you can shake until it pays out. It's a farm. It responds to what's planted, not to what's merely wished for. Real abundance is quieter than any of those. It doesn't need to perform. It doesn't need to grind itself into the hospital to prove it's serious. And it doesn't need to chant affirmations to avoid doing the work. Real abundance looks like a person who is calm because they trust the process, and busy because they respect the process. Not frantic, not glazed over with false positivity, just steady, sowing, tending, patient, because they understand the law. That's the version we're building tonight. Let me teach you the oldest law of abundance there is. It's not new. It's the law of the farm. Picture a farmer standing at the edge of an empty field in early spring. He doesn't panic that the field is bare. An empty field isn't a tragedy to a farmer. It's an invitation. He walks the rows. He plants the seed. And here's what he never does. He never plants one kernel and expects one kernel back. He plants one and expects multiplication. A single kernel of corn doesn't return a single kernel. It returns an ear, sometimes two, each one lined with hundreds of new kernels. That's not luck. That's the law of the harvest. Sow one, reap many. This is how nature runs its abundance. It doesn't deal in even trades. It deals in multiplication, for anyone patient enough to plant and disciplined enough to tend. I think about two neighbors who once inherited identical plots of land. Same road, same soil, same rainfall, same access to market. One planted in the spring, then walked away, and spent the summer complaining that the rain came late. The other planted the same week, then showed up every single morning after, not because the harvest was guaranteed, but because tending was the only part of the process he actually controlled. Same dirt, same sky, two completely different harvests. That was never a story about luck. That was a story about philosophy. So ask yourself, honestly tonight, what have you been planting? Have you been planting effort, showing up early, going the extra step, treating people well even when it costs you something? Then don't be shocked when doors open that you never even knocked on. That's the harvest catching up to the seed. Or have you been planting complaint, comparison, the seed of, this is unfair, the seed of, they got lucky and I didn't, the seed of doing the bare minimum while hoping for the maximum in return? Because here is the law, and it does not bend for anybody, no matter how badly they wish it would. You reap what you sow. You reap more than you sow. You reap later than you sow. That last one is where most people quit. They plant a little discipline on Monday, and by Thursday, when the harvest hasn't shown up yet, they rip the seed back out of the ground just to check if it's working. Of course, it looks like nothing. Roots do their work in the dark, underground, out of sight, long before anything breaks the surface. An abundance mindset is simply this: the confidence to keep watering a field you cannot yet see growing. A scarcity mindset gives up in the dark. An abundance mindset trusts the process because it understands the process. And here's the multiplier almost everyone misses completely. Sowing isn't only about effort, it's about generosity. The farmer who sells every last kernel of this year's corn and plants nothing back will eat well this winter and stand in an empty field again next spring. But the farmer who takes a portion of the harvest and puts it back into the ground, he's the one with a field forever. Abundance is not what you keep. Abundance is what you plant forward. Give the value before you're paid for it. Help the person who can't return the favor. Share the resource, the introduction, the idea, not because you're naive about how the world works, but because you understand the law of the farm better than the world does. That's not weakness. That's the single most strategic thing a person can do, because the field always pays back the one who plants, and it always overlooks the one who only ever harvests. Now here's the second law, and it's the one that explains why some people who started with nothing ended up with everything, while people who started with every advantage ended up with nothing to show for it. It's the law of compounding. Abundance is almost never an event. It's almost never a single lucky break, a single deal, a single yes that changes everything overnight. Abundance is what happens when small things are repeated long enough that they start multiplying on top of each other. I want you to really see this, not just hear it. If you improve by a single % every day, that's nothing on day 1, barely visible. By day 30, it's noticeable. But stack that 1% on top of yesterday's 1%, on top of the day before's 1%, for a year, and you don't get a modest increase. You get multiplication. You get a version of yourself so far beyond where you started that other people will call it an overnight success. It wasn't overnight. It was 1,000 ordinary nights, compounding quietly. 2 people can start the exact same skill on the exact same day, with the exact same natural talent, and end up in entirely different places. Not because one was gifted and the other wasn't, but because one practiced 20 minutes a day for 3 years, and the other practiced in bursts, quit for months at a time, and kept starting over from zero. The gift was never the variable. The compounding was. This is exactly where the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset split into 2 completely different lives. The scarcity mind looks for the shortcut because it's convinced there isn't enough time, so it has to find a way around the process. The abundance mind understands there is always enough time for the process because the process is the multiplier. Here's the trap I need you to see clearly, because it's cost more people their harvest than almost anything else. Scarcity, dressed up as hope, looks like the lottery ticket, the overnight scheme. The promise to multiply your money by Friday. It feels like abundance, because it promises a lot for a little. But it's actually scarcity wearing a costume, because underneath, it doesn't believe in the process. It's trying to skip the compounding, because deep down, it doesn't believe there's enough time or enough ability to let something compound properly. Real abundance looks boring on a Tuesday. It looks like the same discipline, at the same time, for months you don't get applauded for. It looks like reading 20 pages when nobody's watching, making the 5th follow-up call after the first 4 said no, setting aside what looks like an insignificant amount on a fixed schedule without fail, showing up one more year to a craft you haven't mastered yet. None of that looks like abundance while it's happening. It looks like almost nothing. It looks close to a waste of time. But compounding doesn't care how it looks in the moment. Compounding only cares whether you kept showing up. So ask yourself, What's the 1% you could add today that compounds into a completely different person 5 years from now? Not the leap, not the overnight transformation, the 1%. Because here's the truth about abundance that nobody puts on a poster. It's built the exact same way debt is built, slowly, and then all at once. The only difference is which direction you've been compounding in. Here's a question I want you sitting with for the rest of this video. Have you been asking the world for more before you became more? Because that's the order almost everyone gets backward. They want the bigger opportunity before they've built the bigger skill. They want the raise before they've become someone who could get hired at that new number, somewhere else, on their own merit. They want the abundant life while still bringing a scarcity level of value to the table. But the world, and I mean this gently, not cruelly, the world does not pay you for what you need. It pays you for what you're worth to it. It pays for value delivered, not value intended, and definitely not value wished for. Picture two people going after the same promotion. One spends the year hoping the boss finally notices their potential. The other spends the year quietly building the exact skill the next role actually requires, whether or not anyone's watching yet. Only one of them is farming. The other is standing at the fence, waiting for the field to notice him. So if you want more from life, there's only one honest order of operations. Become more, and the more you're chasing tends to find its own way to you. Not become more so you can perform for applause. Become more, meaning sharper skill, deeper character, more reliable follow-through, more generosity, more patience under pressure. Become the kind of person abundance would make sense flowing toward. Think about it plainly. If you became the most valuable person in your field this year, the most reliable, the most skilled, the most trustworthy, do you honestly believe opportunity would leave you alone? It wouldn't know how to leave you alone. Value has a way of getting noticed, even in a crowded room, even in a slow season. This is why chasing money directly so often backfires, and chasing skill and character almost never does. Money is a byproduct. It's the harvest. You don't get to farm the harvest directly. You can only farm the seed, which is who you're becoming. So stop asking, how do I get more? Start asking, who would I have to become for more to make sense? That single question, asked honestly, will do more for your abundance than any strategy I could hand you tonight. Because it puts the work back where it's always belonged. On you. Not on the market. Not on your luck. Not on the timing. On you. Now let's talk about the real reason most people never build any of this. And it's not a strategy problem. It's a character problem. I say that with respect, not judgment, because I've had the same problem, and so has everyone worth learning from. Here's a truth I want tattooed on the inside of your mind. You will pay a price either way. There is a pain that comes from discipline. Waking up early, saying no to the easy thing, doing the rep you don't feel like doing, having the hard conversation instead of avoiding it. And there is a pain that comes from regret, looking up 5 years from now, 10 years from now, and realizing the life you're living is the direct sum of every small thing you let yourself off the hook for. Both are pain. Neither road is painless. The question was never, how do I avoid the pain? The real question is, which pain do you want to carry? Because here's what nobody tells you at the moment of decision. Discipline is heavy for a minute, and then it's over. You feel it Monday morning when the alarm goes off. You feel it in the rep, in the follow-up call, in the early start. And then, it's done. It cost you a moment of inconvenience, and it's finished. Regret doesn't work that way. Regret doesn't visit for a moment and leave. Regret moves in. It's the pain that shows up 10 years later and asks, what if you had just started when you first thought about it? And it doesn't ask once. It asks for the rest of your life. It asks at the reunion, when someone else is telling the story you could have told. It asks at the kitchen table, at midnight, when the house is quiet and there's nothing left to distract you from the question. Discipline weighs ounces. It's light because it's temporary. Regret weighs tons. It's heavy because it's permanent. Think about the version of you sitting at your own retirement dinner, if nothing changes starting tonight. Not a tragic version, just an average one. Someone who worked hard, technically, but never became the person the bigger opportunity would have required, and now watches someone else, who started later and with less, walk across a bigger stage. That image shouldn't paralyze you. It should clarify you. So many people are trying to build an abundant life while avoiding the one thing that actually produces it, because they're still operating from a wish instead of a decision. There's a difference between wishing it were easier and becoming better. Let me show you that difference plainly, because it might be the most important distinction in this entire video. Wishing it were easier sounds like, I hope things change. I hope the market gets better. I hope my boss finally notices me. I hope this year is different. Becoming better sounds like, I'm going to read the book that makes me sharper. I'm going to have the uncomfortable conversation that makes me more valuable. I'm going to fix the gap in my skill, instead of blaming the gap for existing. One of those is a spectator in the stands, hoping the game goes well. The other is a player on the field, doing something about the score. Abundance is never handed to spectators. It is only ever produced by players. And here's the part that separates real teaching from motivational noise. Character isn't built in the big, filmed moment. It's built in the small, unglamorous moment nobody is watching. It's built when you do the right thing, and the only reward is who you're quietly becoming. You are not just building a business, or a bank account, or a following tonight. You are building a person. And that person is either becoming someone capable of holding abundance, or someone who will leak it the moment it arrives. Because I've seen people win the money and lose it inside 3 years. Not because the money left on its own, because the character required to hold it was never built in the first place. Abundance without character is a leaking bucket. You can keep pouring, it will never hold. Now I need to talk to you about seasons, because if you don't understand seasons, you will misread your entire life. There are 4 seasons on a farm. There are 4 seasons in a life, and abundance depends entirely on knowing which one you're standing in. Winter is not punishment. Winter is preparation. It's cold. It's bare. It looks like nothing is happening. But underground, the soil is resting, resetting, getting ready. If you've just been through a layoff, a failed launch, a relationship that ended, a year that took more than it gave, that's not proof you don't have what it takes. That's winter. And winter is not the end of the story. It's the chapter before spring. Spring is opportunity. It's the season of planting. And this is where so many people freeze up, because spring never guarantees anything. Spring only offers the ground. What you do with the ground is still entirely up to you. Summer is the test nobody talks about, because summer is unglamorous. Summer is watering, weeding, showing up when there's no applause and no visible proof yet that any of it is working. This is where most people actually quit. Not in winter, when quitting looks reasonable to everyone watching, but in summer, when the work has gotten boring and the harvest still isn't visible. I think about the ones who plant in spring with everyone cheering. New job, new relationship, new year, new everything. Spring gets applause. Spring is easy to feel motivated about. But by midsummer, the cheering stops. The messages checking in stop. The family stops asking how it's going. This is exactly when most people quietly let the weeds grow, because tending in silence is so much harder than planting in celebration. The ones who make it to fall were never the ones with the loudest spring. They were the ones who kept watering through the quiet middle, when no one was filming. And fall. Fall is the harvest. Fall is what everyone wants. But fall only ever shows up for the person who didn't quit in summer. Here's the mistake almost everyone makes. They treat a hard season like a permanent identity. They go through winter, and instead of saying, I'm in a hard season, they say, I am a failure. Do you hear the difference? One of those is weather. The other is a life sentence you handed to yourself, without a trial. A season is temporary, by definition. It always changes, given enough time and enough tending. But the moment you rename your season into your identity, you've turned something temporary into something permanent. And that's a story you told yourself. It was never a fact of nature. Failure is a season. It is not a destination. Nobody lives in winter forever, unless they decide winter is who they are, instead of simply where they are, for now. So ask yourself honestly, right now, what season are you actually in? If you're in winter, stop punishing yourself for the cold. Rest where rest is genuinely needed, but keep your hands ready for the thaw. If you're in spring, plant. Don't wait around for guarantees, because spring never gives guarantees, only ground. If you're in summer, keep watering, even when it's boring, even when nobody is clapping. This is the season abundance is quietly being built in, out of sight. And if you're finally standing in fall, harvest with gratitude, and then plant again. Because the field doesn't stop being a field just because you had one good season. There's one more law I have to give you, because I've watched it make or break more people than almost anything else on this list, and it has nothing to do with what you personally do. It has to do with who you stand next to while you're doing it. You are not planting in isolation. You are planting in soil, and soil is shaped by everything around it. Spend enough time in a room full of scarcity talk. It's rigged. It's impossible. People like us don't get those chances. And you will start to believe the field is smaller than it actually is. Not because anyone lied to you on purpose, but because philosophy is contagious. You absorb the ceiling of the people you're closest to, whether you meant to or not. And here's the uncomfortable flip side. Spend real time around people with an abundant philosophy. People who plant, who tend, who talk about problems as things to solve instead of proof the world is unfair. And your own sense of what's possible starts to expand, almost without effort. You don't even have to try. Philosophy is contagious in both directions. I've watched someone change nothing about their skills, their savings, or their circumstances, and completely change their trajectory within a year, simply by changing which 5 conversations they had on repeat. Same person, same starting point, different soil. So this is not about abandoning people you love. It's about being honest with yourself about which conversations are planting seeds of scarcity in you, on repeat, and which ones are planting seeds of growth. Ask yourself, after I spend an hour with this person, do I leave feeling like the field is bigger or smaller? You don't need 100 abundant people around you. The teaching here was never about needing a whole crowd. It's about the handful closest to you, the few whose thinking you absorb by proximity alone. Even one relationship with someone who plants instead of complains can shift the whole soil you're growing in. Protect that soil. It's not selfish, it's stewardship. One more thing before we get to what you do today, because if I let you walk away thinking this was only about money, I've failed you. Abundance mindset was never only about the bank account. It's about time. It's about knowledge. It's about love. It's about opportunity itself. The scarcity mind treats time like a jar that's already 3/4 empty, rationing minutes, resentful of every request, exhausted before the day even starts. The abundance mind treats time like a field that expands when it's tended well. Not because more hours appear on the clock, but because a well-tended life stops wasting the hours it already has on regret, resentment, and indecision. The scarcity mind treats knowledge like a competition. Hoard what you know, because someone else knowing it might make you less special. The abundance mind treats knowledge like a seed built to be given away, because teaching someone else what you know has never once made you know less. If anything, it's the fastest way to know it better. The scarcity mind treats love and connection like a limited resource. If I care about them, there's less left over for you. The abundance mind understands that love is the strangest resource in the universe, because it's the only one that grows the more of it you give away. And the scarcity mind treats opportunity like a single door, already crowded with people ahead of you in line. The abundance mind understands that opportunity is not a door, it's a field. And fields don't run out of room for one more person willing to plant. So when I say build an abundance mindset, I don't just mean get comfortable with money. I mean get comfortable with the idea that generosity, in every form, was never actually a loss. It only ever looked like one, to a mind that hadn't learned the law of the farm yet. Let's bring this together for a moment because I've given you a lot, and I want it to actually stick instead of scattering. You plant through your effort, and the field returns it, multiplied. You compound through small repeated disciplines, and the multiplier does the heavy lifting over time. You become more in skill and character, and the world responds to value it can trust. You choose discipline's small weight now, instead of regret's heavy weight later. You read your season correctly, so you don't quit in summer or panic in winter. You guard the soil of who you spend your time with, because philosophy spreads by proximity. You give your time, knowledge, and love freely, because none of them shrink for having been shared. 7 laws, 1 garden, your garden. None of them are complicated. None of them require luck, a different birthplace, or a different set of parents. They require a decision, tonight. All of this stays a nice philosophy unless we bring it down to today. Not next month. Not when things settle down. Today, before you go to sleep tonight, here are the disciplines. First, audit your language for the next 24 hours. Notice every time you say, "I can't afford it," there's no time. That's just how it is. You don't have to fix it yet. Just notice it. You cannot change a pattern you refuse to see. Second, plant 1 seed today that you will not get to harvest today. Send the message that might not get answered for a week. Start the page of the book you'll finish next month. Make the deposit that won't matter for a year. An abundance mindset is comfortable planting things it won't personally witness sprout by tomorrow morning. Third, give something away before you're compensated for it. An idea, an introduction. 15 honest minutes to someone who needs it. Not because you're obligated to, because a person who only gives after they've been paid has already told the world they believe in scarcity. Fourth, choose 1 discipline, and only 1, and do it regardless of how you feel about it today. Not the 5-part morning routine you'll abandon by Thursday. 1 discipline, small enough that you can't talk yourself out of it. Consistent enough that in 90 days it stops being a decision and starts being who you are. Fifth, name your season out loud. Say it plainly. I'm in winter, or I'm in summer, and I'm tired, and I'm still watering anyway. Naming the season correctly stops you from making winter panic decisions during a summer season, or summer impatience decisions during a winter one. Sixth, audit the room. Notice, this week, which conversations leave you feeling like the field is bigger, and which ones leave you feeling smaller. You don't have to burn anything down. Just notice, and start protecting your time around the soil that actually grows something. Seventh, practice abundance somewhere that has nothing to do with money. Give away 15 minutes of undivided attention. Teach someone something you know without wondering what's in it for you. Say the genuine compliment you'd normally keep to yourself. Generosity is a muscle, and like any muscle, it strengthens fastest in the areas you actually use it. Here's the pattern I want you to catch in all 7 of these. None of them require permission. None of them require the economy to improve, your boss to change, or your circumstances to suddenly cooperate. Every single one is available to you in the next hour, with exactly what you already have, from exactly where you're standing right now. That's the real test of whether a philosophy is genuine or just decoration. A genuine philosophy can be practiced today. A decorative one always needs better conditions first. If you do the small disciplines when nobody's watching, you get a life nobody can take from you. If you keep waiting for the big moment before you start, you get a life spent waiting. It was never about talent. It isn't about talent tonight either. It's about which one of these 7 you choose to plant before you turn off the light. Now let me show you where this road actually leads, because I want you to see it clearly enough to want it for yourself. Picture yourself 5 years from tonight. It's an ordinary Tuesday. Nothing about the calendar makes it special. You wake up before the alarm, not because discipline is painful anymore, but because it stopped being a decision years ago and quietly became who you are. You've been watering a field the whole time that other people gave up on somewhere around year 1. You kept the one discipline running long after it stopped being exciting, and long before anyone was clapping for it. You gave value before you were paid for it so many times that people started trusting you before you even asked them to. You called winter exactly what it was: weather, not identity. And you refused to quit during the boring middle of your own story. You watched the soil you stood in, and you protected it. Look at what that version of you has, 5 years in. Skill that isn't hollow because it was built rep by rep, not hack by hack. Relationships that are actually sturdy because they were built on giving first. A bank account that reflects discipline instead of desperation. A nervous system that doesn't panic in every winter because it survived enough cycles to trust the pattern. And most importantly, a character that can hold abundance without leaking it because it was built at the same pace as the harvest, not rushed ahead of it. Picture the actual moment. Someone asks how you built what you've built, expecting a shortcut, a secret, a hack. And the honest answer disappoints them a little, because it isn't exciting. The honest answer is just, I kept showing up on the boring days, longer than made sense to anyone except me. Now look at the other road, the one paved with good intentions and zero disciplines. 5 years from tonight, on that road, the scenery hasn't really changed. Same complaints, slightly older. Same excuses, a little more polished with practice. Same, I'll start Monday. Except now there have been 260 Mondays. And somehow, none of them were the one. The field is exactly as empty as it was tonight. Except now it's 5 years further from producing anything. And the excuses have had 5 more years to harden into identity. That's not a punishment handed down by the universe. Nobody is out to get that version of you. That version simply kept planting scarcity, in language, in effort, in generosity. And the field, being an honest and impartial thing, gave back exactly what was planted. Not because it's cruel, because it's fair. Here's what I want sitting in your chest as this video ends. The distance between those 2 5-year versions of you was never 5 years of luck. It was 5 years of decisions like the 7 we just walked through. Small, unglamorous, repeatable, available to you right now, before you close this tab. You will be 5 years older no matter what you decide tonight. That part was never optional. Which version of 5 years older you become, that part is entirely up to the philosophy you choose, starting tonight. So let's bring it all the way back to where we started. You said there wasn't enough. Not enough time, not enough money, not enough advantage going your way. That the field was never short on abundance. You were short on planting. Discipline is the bridge between the life you have and the life you say you want. Discipline is the choice sitting in front of you in the next 5 minutes, not the next 5 years. Discipline is the price abundance has always charged, and the price has never once moved. No matter how unfair your circumstances happen to feel. You were never waiting on a season to change. The season was waiting on you to plant something in it.